Welcome to UE Systems Ultraprobe 9000 Equipment Orientation for Airborne Structure-Borne Ultrasonic Inspection, presented to you by UE Systems Incorporated's Training Division. The Ultraprobe 9000 is a pistol grip ultrasonic inspection unit. It has a pistol grip for ergonomic use, a trigger for on-off, as well as a sensitivity adjustment knob that is spin and click to select and to adjust, as well as a storage button. It also has a wrist strap that must be worn during inspection. Never leave the wrist strap dangling, as it poses a hazard in rotating or electrical equipment. What comes in the case? The Ultraprobe 9000 pistol grip inspection unit. The scanning module, which is used for airborne inspection. It is usually attached to the unit when shipped. Noise attenuating headset meets OSHA's regulations for single hearing protection. Recharger. The recharger will charge the pistol grip unit as well as the warble tone generator. The warble tone generator emits a false ultrasonic sound that can be used for sensitivity validation or field calibration check. You cannot calibrate this unit in the field, but you can check it. The stethoscope module, used for structure-borne inspection. It acts as a waveguide, a metal rod attached to a module. The rubber focusing probe, which is used to go over the scanning module and pinpoint the source of ultrasound, such as a leak. It can also be used to go over the stethoscope module, which is the rod portion of it here, to act as extra insulation toward competing ultrasound. The extension kit, which are 3 aluminum rods that will screw together to form 31 inches of length. The normal rod of the stethoscope module will unscrew out of the module, and the extension rods will screw in for extra length. Let's identify the different parts of the Ultraprobe. The trigger. It's an on-off trigger. The trigger must be pulled for the instrument to operate, meaning you must hold the trigger in to keep the unit on. If you release the trigger, it will go off within 5 seconds. This cannot be changed as far as the trigger operation. The battery compartment. There is a nickel metal hydride battery in the compartment that stays in the compartment to charge. The battery is charged through the Ultraprobe. The safety wrist strap, as mentioned before, must be worn for safety. Do not let it dangle, as it may cause a hazard toward rotating equipment and electrical equipment. The instrument display, which shows us decibel, intensity meter, what mode the unit is in, what frequency it is set to, as well as the battery charge. The headset input, which is a 3.5 millimeter mono split jack. The storage or save button, the yellow button. When you want to store a record, that is what will be pushed. Then the sensitivity dial, which is spin and click technology, patented by UE Systems. The spin and click sensitivity dial is used to adjust sensitivity, but it's also used to select other items on the screen and adjust other items. We will go through that as we go through this. The display itself. The decibel indicator. Here it says 58 dB, 58 decibels. The sensitivity is adjusted fairly well as far as this picture goes. If it needed adjusting, arrows would flash to the right or to the left where 58 dB is sitting and no decibel would be present. The frequency setting. The frequency of the Ultraprobe 9000 ranges from 20 kilohertz to 100 kilohertz in increments of 1 kilohertz. 40 kilohertz is the nominal setting for airborne sounds. The battery indicator. This indicates we have little battery left. Otherwise, all bars would be lit in the battery if it was a full charge. The signal intensity meter, which is nothing more than how loud or how quiet it is. The line in the middle of the screen indicates how loud this intensity got during this particular reading. Once the sensitivity adjusts down, we'll see this is where the intensity is now. At one point, it was up to here. Sensitivity and frequency adjustment. To adjust the sensitivity, simply spin the sensitivity dial to the desired level. In this picture, the arrow is pointing to the right or flashing to the right, and we can see that here. That means turn the sensitivity up. While you may hear it in the headphones, it might not be loud enough or enough input into the module for the gun to form a decibel. You can think of sensitivity as how much power you're giving the unit to receive a sound. So it needs to be turned up. If we push the sensitivity button in, click it, kilohertz will begin to flash, KHC. It is flashing right now, meaning I can adjust the frequency anywhere between 20 and 100 kilohertz by turning the sensitivity dial. Once that frequency is set to where you want it, as it is here, frequency, you would push the sensitivity button and it would just jump back to the sensitivity area and decibel area where you can adjust sensitivity. The two positions on the screen are sensitivity and decibel and the frequency position. It toggles between the two by pushing the sensitivity knob in. Instrument controls. Once a decibel value is captured, press the yellow storage button to save the reading. So if a decibel was on the screen at this moment, say 53 dB like we saw earlier, you would push the storage button to save that decibel. C that pops up is 00 and a number. It could be 400, 399, 6, 10. It's just the record location that has not been used yet. So 006 not used. If it had been used, if we turn the dial backwards, we can adjust where we store it right now. That would be highlighted in black. The colors would be inverted on the number. You can store over a previous reading if need be. Otherwise, this spot has not been used, and we can store to this record location 006. The decibel was 8 dB, 40 kilohertz in a real-time mode. We will go over the different modes of the gun during this tutorial. Hit the storage button one more time and you get location 006 and the text unknown. This unit will show you part of the route information. So if we had named this particular test position motor 1 inboard bearing, motor 1 would be the machine or location from the DMS software, and inboard bearing would be the actual test spot. This would show us motor 1, the location or machine name. It does not show the test point name. So motor 1 at record number 6. You can change the name here, but it will not match if you try to download back to the DMS software and you may have an error. It is best to jot down a note if it has been named wrong and then change it on your computer in the DMS software that this unit speaks to. The setup menu. So as far as the operation, we just went through that. The setup menu is easily achieved by letting the power go off, then pressing the sensitivity and storage button at the same time, as well as pulling the trigger. All three must be done at the same time. Typically, you can push the sensitivity and storage button in by themselves, then pull the trigger and hold all three until you see this. Menu 1 select data transfer. This is how you upload and download a route to the computer to the DMS software. If the USB cable is connected to the 9000 unit and to the computer, and you come to this menu selection, menu number 1, data transfer, you can let go of the trigger and it will stay on for 5 minutes without pulling the trigger in. There is nothing to select here. You control the data transfer through the software. When transferring data to the DMS software, connect the cable to the PC with the instrument turned off. Enter into the setup menu number 1, data transfer. The Ultraprobe 9000 will remain on for approximately 5 minutes while data transfer is occurring and connected to the computer in the data transfer mode. If you will turn the sensitivity knob to the right when in the menu settings, you'll come to menu number 2, select, which is set time and date. Click the sensitivity dial to enter the setup menu number 2, click to select time, and spin the dial to the desired time. Click the sensitivity dial to set. Repeat to select the desired date. So you will walk through each number and set it correctly. You do want the time and date to be correct, as this is how we keep up with the readings of when they were taken. Decibel scale select, setup menu number 3. So you will rotate to the right one more time to get to menu number 3. Menu number 3 is dB scale select. Spin the dial to select either relative or offset. Selecting offset will change the dB scale from the factory calibration to another calibration source. Typically, we do not offset these units. If the calibration is off, then changing the dB scale will not help. But if we were using an Ultraprobe 401 grease caddy with a magnet to lube our bearings, which we can load a route to that digital unit, and we were scanning the bearings normally on route with the 9000 and a stethoscope module, we would obtain different readings between the two units with different modules. So you would position the 401 grease caddy on a spot on a motor bearing or a bearing and obtain a reading. And if it read 50 dB, that's fine. You pick the same spot with Ultraprobe 9000 and obtain the reading. Let's say it says 42 dB. We are a difference of 8 decibels. So I would choose first to go to dB scale select number 3, select it. The normal position for dB scale is relative to UE systems calibration. I would change that to offset by spinning the sensitivity dial till it said offset and then pressing the sensitivity button in. That should bring us back to the main menu. Once we're back to the main menu, we'll spin the sensitivity button to the right to menu number 4, select dB offset value. Our value would have been 8 decibels, plus 8 dB. So I would change this to an offset value of 8. The same can be done on the Ultraprobe 401 and the Ultraprobe 10,000. Otherwise, we leave the scale in relative and the dB offset value would be 0 in normal circumstances. Heading back to the setup menu, we rotate the sensitivity dial to position menu number 5. This is display mode, real-time, snapshot, and peak hold. We enter this menu item by pushing the sensitivity dial. Once we enter the display mode, we see that there are 3 options: real-time, snapshot, and peak hold. Real-time is the operational mode, which is designed for normal inspection, capturing data in real time. This is the defaulted selection and is the usual way we teach how to use ultrasound. The other options are snapshot. Snapshot is designed for comparison, as dB values are captured in 1/1,000,000 of a second each time the trigger is pulled. Peak hold is an operational mode also designed for comparison, as the peak value is captured and held until another higher value is detected. Again, real time is the default value. Once we get back to the main setup menu, we rotate to menu number 6. This is calibration due date. This is typically 12 to 13 months from when the calibration had occurred. So this unit was due in on September 16th of 2000, which meant the unit would have been calibrated around September of 1999, a year previous. Again, this is not when it was calibrated, but when it is due in for calibration. Maintaining a well-calibrated ultrasonic unit is important for our inspections. Back to the main setup menu, we rotate the sensitivity dial to number 7, which is text editor on or off. This allows us to turn the text editor on or turn it off. Having it on allows us to name or rename a test item while we're in the field in a route. By turning it off, it turns the text editor selection off during the storage process, which makes the storage process faster. Typically, we should never rename anything on the unit while we are in the field. This could get confusing and mess up the entire route. It is better to jot down on a piece of paper or a note to what needs to be renamed or reorganized and wait until we get back to the computer and to the software, and then we can make our changes then. Back to the main menu, we rotate the sensitivity dial to setup menu number 8. If we enter setup menu number 8 by clicking the sensitivity dial, you can change the format of the date from the defaulted position of month, day, year to day, month, year. Otherwise, the date will be displayed as month, day, year. Back to the main menu, we come to setup menu number 9 by rotating the sensitivity dial to the right. Factory defaults. Factory defaults will reset everything on the unit and clear the memory out of the storage. It will set it to 40 kilohertz, sensitivity high, and nothing in the memory. So when you mess it all up, this is the place to come. Menu number 9, factory defaults. On a side note, when you load a fresh route to the unit, it will clear the memory of the old readings and put the new route onto the unit. So there's no need to clear the unit. If you want an empty memory to go scan whatever it may be, you can connect the 9000 to the DMS software by cable, and an option to clear the memory is there in the DMS software as well. Back to the main menu, setup menu number 10, exit to program. Menu number 10 will allow us to go back to the main display, or you can let go of the trigger, let the power die off, then pull the trigger again, and you will be in the main display. To connect Ultraprobe 9000 to the computer to use DMS software and upload information or download information, we need to use the connector port on the bottom of the Ultraprobe 9000. Turn the Ultraprobe 9000 upside down and you will see two ports. The connector port with the green arrow is seen here, or the recharge port as seen with the red arrow. Use the connector port. The connector port does not recharge the unit, even if plugged into the computer. The USB I/O cable or serial cable, depending on when this model was purchased. If using the USB I/O cable, it should plug straight into the computer and the other end straight into the 9000. If you have a serial cable, a 4 or 5 pin on one side and then a serial port on the other side of the cable, you will more than likely need to purchase a serial to USB adapter, as most computers do not support a serial connection anymore. Those are easily purchased at any electronics outlets. Also, you will need a computer with UE Systems Ultratrend DMS software loaded, a route created to load or download to, as seen on this computer. So connecting to the computer, connect the plug, which is 4 or 5 pin connector, to the Ultraprobe. Plug the other end into the computer. Open UE Systems DMS software to upload or download the route information. For software help, there are many tutorials available, or you can contact us. Our contact information will be at the end of this presentation. If you have any questions, please contact us at UE Systems Incorporated. Phone number is 1-800-223-1325. You can also reach us by email at info@uesystems.com, info@uesystems.com, and our web address, of course, is www.uesystems.com.